How's it going? We are at camp, waiting for everybody to get ready to go fishing, so I thought I'd take a moment and show you how to tie a blood knot. The blood knot is a knot that is used to tie two pieces of line together, and in fly fishing, it is traditionally used to join new tippet to your leader. So to begin, I always want to make sure that I have enough tag end to make sure that the knot will hold together while it's loose. So I usually just do double what I would for a clinch knot. So the blood knot is basically the same procedure, just done twice. The second half, we just do it in reverse. And so in order to make sure I remember what I'm doing, I always do it the same way, and I always say it in my head as I do it. So I take the tag end of the tippet, and I begin to wrap like I would a clinch knot, and I say away 1, away 2, away 3, away 4, away 5, away 6, away 7. So the 3x tippet usually takes 7 wraps. That's what I use for my clinch knot. That's what I use for the blood knot. It hasn't given up yet, so that's effective. If you have too many wraps, the knot won't sink right, and it'll get caught up in your rod. It's no good. So 7 is a great number for 3x for me. Experiment and see what works for you. But once we've done the number of wraps, we can see that just like a clinch knot, there is a hole or a loop that forms right where we're pinching. And I want to bring the tag end through that, and I just work it. I work it until I can pinch it together, and I'm always just holding the intersection of the knot, that X. I'm just pulling some of the line through. So now that's the first half of the knot, and so the second half we're going to do the same thing but in reverse. So my wraps are going to go towards me, and since we're working with the 0x, it's thicker. I don't need as many wraps, so I'm going to do 5. So I count it out towards 1, towards 2, towards 3, towards 4, towards 5. And then on this side, I always finish with the wrap pointing down, the tag end of the wrap pointing down, because just like we wrapped in the opposite direction, we want to go through the loop down at the intersection of the knot in the opposing direction of the other side. So I generally try to let go of the intersection and try to make that loop prominent, like so. And I can do that by pulling the opposite tag end down. And I know that it's coming from the opposite direction. So I feed that tag end through if I can do it. And now I am just pulling the ends just ever so lightly to kind of take the loops out and the slack out. So this is where your tag end length really helps, because you can pull things tight and not have them fall out of the loop in the middle. That is the worst, because you usually have to start over at that point. But I usually now just work the knot together slowly, pulling out the slack from any area that needs it, keeping the loops tight and the tag ends long enough so that they don't fall back through the knot. So before we cinch it down, we need to make sure that it's lubricated, because heat from the knot coming together will damage the line. So I'm just going to apply some spit, some saliva to the knot. I generally do this with all knots, like the clinch knot or anything else, no different. And I make sure that our tag ends are in opposing directions. So I do that by just moving the lines around, and then I pull the line tight at the standing ends, and so we can see the coils beginning to form. And I want to pull my tag ends, taking out any loops. So now I'm just working the knot tight. Take my fingers and make sure the coils are stacked up nice and tight. And at this point, I've applied a lot of stress to the knot, and I kind of feel confident that it's going to hold. So when we look at the knot, we can see two things. When I pull the standing lines tight, I can see that the two tag ends are pointing in opposite directions. This is an indication that the knots were tied in the right directions and went through the loop in the middle at the correct orientation. And then I can take my nippers and I can cut them very flush. The point of the blood knot is it should be able to go through the eyelets of your rod without too much trouble. If there's tag ends are long, then it will cause hang-ups and irritate you when you're trying to catch fish. So in this case, we can see the knot, we can see the coils, and this is a blood knot. The blood knot, I've never had fail. Hopefully this has been helpful. There are tons of videos on how to tie a blood knot, and I'm sure there'll be tons more made after this one. This is something you want to practice and over and over and over, and you practice when you're at home. There's nothing more frustrating than seeing fish rise in front of you and you have to put some more tippet on and you keep stumbling over a stinking knot and you run out of daylight and you lose the opportunity to catch those fish. So being proficient is a great way to prevent that from happening. If this video was helpful to you, you should provide a thumbs up and possibly subscribe. I make all kinds of content related to fishing and you may enjoy that as well. I really appreciate you watching and go fish.